To plan your day and stay safe. From KCRG TV9, this is First Alert Weather Now.
And good evening, folks. It's your Thursday night edition of First Alert Weather Now here on KCRG.com and our various streaming platforms. I'm meteorologist Corey Thompson.
And I'm meteorologist AJ Rickman.
And we've had another nice day across eastern Iowa. It's quiet here, but it's not quiet across the country. It's pretty busy down in the southeast.
Yeah, it really is. We've been, depending on how you look at it, it could be lucky, could be not. We're dry and warm, so if you have outdoor activities, you're in good shape for tonight. But like Corey mentioned, we are currently watching Hurricane Helene. It was recently upgraded to a Category 4, and it's still churning out in the Gulf, and it's working its way towards the Big Bend of Florida, and it's going to make landfall there as we get into the night tonight.
So just a handful of hours away down in that part of the world. But like you said, in this part of the world, things are a little bit easier.
It is, yeah. We're going to have a pretty straightforward forecast as we go through the night. So as we have a look at what you need to know for the next 24 hours, we're going to be dealing with, as I mentioned, pretty calm and quiet night for the night tonight. We're going to be dry, no rain for the next several days, and we are going to be pretty warm. For this time of year, warm equates to pleasant. It's going to be in the upper 70s and lower 80s, warmer than normal temperatures. And then, as I mentioned, we are watching, or as Corey and I mentioned, we are watching Hurricane Helene as it moves inland today, and it will have a little bit of an impact on our weather in the coming days. Won't be bringing us much in the way of rainfall, though. As you go through your evening, our temperatures are going to drop out of the 70s and then down into the 60s. Overnight, we are clear. We do have a little bit of cloud cover that moves in as we get into the start of your day on Friday. And then as we have a look at tomorrow, it's going to be warm again. Those temperatures will be about 10 degrees above average in the upper 70s to lower 80s. It's going to be a little bit breezy too. We're going to be feeling the effects from some of those outer winds of Helene. It won't be anything terribly damaging, but we will have that northeasterly breeze through the day, and then those partly cloudy skies. Areas farther to the south, we'll see a little more cloud cover through the afternoon.
It's pretty crazy how far those effects can be felt. Now, ours, of course, are not severe, but it is part of our weather forecast as we go over the next couple of days.
Indeed, it'll be interesting to see more details on how it impacts our weather.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. So with that, Hurricane Helene is expected to make landfall in Florida as it moves across the Gulf of Mexico.
Within the last hour, the storm gained strength to a Category 4 hurricane. CNN's Michael Yoshida reports on the warnings from state officials tonight.
Every minute that goes by brings us closer to having conditions that are going to be simply too dangerous to navigate.
The National Weather Service is using another term, unsurvivable. When it comes to the storm surge, Helene is expected to unleash on parts of the Florida coast in the coming hours.
If it's 20 feet like they're saying, it's going to change the landscape in Franklin County, I can assure you that.
Franklin and Taylor counties are in Helene's expected landfall zone. But for much of Florida's Gulf Coast, mandatory evacuations have been in place since Wednesday, with state and local officials imploring residents leave while you can.
Some people have made decisions that they're going to hunker down, even though they were requested to leave.
Regardless of that, the governor says rescue crews are standing by.
If there's people that are going to be in distress, we're going to be there to be able to assist in those efforts.
Their message now, survival.
If you hear trees snapping around your home, treat it like a tornado. Get to an interior portion of your home, get as low as you can.
And silence, officials warn, doesn't mean safe.
What that actually means is you're in the eye of the hurricane. All right? Do not go out and survey damage.
An eye that could be up to 50 miles wide, with more catastrophic conditions less than an hour behind it. Helene is expected to roar up the southeastern U.S., with impacts felt as far north as D.C. in the days ahead. Right now, along with Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, and Virginia are under a state of emergency.
And right now you're looking live from Naples, Florida, where you can see that the ocean is quite angry and a lot of very rough seas, big waves, and some folks probably not doing the right thing by taking the surfboard out into those waters. It can be quite dangerous despite the enticing nature of those big waves for surfers. Instead, we are waiting for the worst impacts from the storm as it gets closer to the coast. Naples not going to see even the worst of it. It's already plenty bad there too. Hopefully that pier holds up as we go over the next several hours, as those big waves will be relentless. Now, a view from Pinpoint Doppler radar shows the storm. It's within the view of a couple of different Doppler radar sites from the National Weather Service along the Florida coast. See that strong area of orange and yellow and red. That is the eye wall of the storm, which is where the worst winds are, particularly on the right front portion of this as it moves to the north. And so where that tracks are where some of the worst damage is going to be, some of the worst storm surge on the right side of that eye wall as well. So we're going to be watching that carefully over the next couple of hours. A wider view of the overall impact of this storm. It's getting close to a sort of typical storm system that we see up here at the mid-latitude, so higher and farther away from the tropical areas. And the moisture from this kind of tied to that at this point. Plenty of rain already falling well ahead of it. Georgia into eastern Tennessee, the Carolinas, numerous flash flood warnings out ahead of this. And that's not even with the deepest of that tropical moisture moving through. So those flooding concerns are very, very significant. You also notice a couple of little tornado warnings in Florida and Georgia. That is also a concern with landfalling tropical systems. Now, this purple area is from the National Weather Service. That is a high risk of flash flooding within those areas. That type of outlook, especially across that big of an area, is pretty rare. Usually indicates life-threatening flash flooding is quite likely as we look ahead. So we're going to be keeping a close eye on that too. Here's a satellite view of Hurricane Helene using the infrared view. Those brighter pinks indicate colder cloud tops, big upward motion within that eye wall. That is a strengthening hurricane. Winds at 130 miles per hour. That's Category 4 status. Moving to the north-northeast at about 23 miles per hour. Likely to either maintain its strength or perhaps even strengthen a bit more as it gets closer to land. So likely landfall in that Big Bend area of Florida as a Category 4, maintaining hurricane strength even into southern Georgia, perhaps even at Category 2 strength before weakening and sort of just hanging around the Ohio Valley, providing those heavy areas of rainfall. Storm surge is a big concern with this storm. 1 to 3 foot surge has been observed down the Keys up toward the Tampa area. Already gained some reports of 5 foot storm surge, but right where that landfall is, 15 to 20 foot storm surge, which is very, very high. Probably not survivable if you live within the very close coastal areas, which is why evacuations have been key there. Hurricane warnings, though, extend inland all the way towards central Georgia. The tropical storm warnings throughout South Carolina and western North Carolina. And again, it's that very heavy rain within those areas that's also going to cause additional problems. Something to watch in the coming days. Fortunately, here in eastern Iowa, if you have plans in the coming days, not as much to worry about weather-wise. Here's meteorologist Joe Winters with your forecast for fun.
If you made plans for this week or this weekend for some events that you wanted to attend or are hosting an event, you picked a great week. Our weather remains quiet, and that leads nicely into our forecast for fun. Biking forecast, only changes that we've seen from the week is that the winds are a little stronger on both Friday and Saturday. You'll want to keep that in mind with 80 on Friday and 81 on Saturday. All in all, should be nice, though, to get out on the trail. That wind is very doable. Pumpkin patch forecast for tomorrow as well as the start of the weekend. It's looking good. 80 degrees on Friday, 81 on Saturday. Should be a fun time to get out and pick that perfect pumpkin. As far as Friday Night Lights, we have a Thursday night edition getting underway at 7 o'clock on KCRG 9.2. The weather cooperates, as we can see, with clear skies, east winds at 5 to 10, and then we work into Friday. Lots going on as well, including in downtown Cedar Rapids. It's Blocktoberfest 3, 75 as the bands take the stage right around 6 o'clock. Should be a great night and a great crowd expected, of course, ending with the Pork Tornadoes, the final and headliner of the night. Friday Night Lights going on with high school football. Our game of the week on Friday, Prairie against Liberty. We are once again looking for temperatures in the 70s at kickoff, 64 in the fourth quarter with a partly cloudy sky. And don't forget, Oktoberfest celebrations are going on. Waterloo and Solon this weekend. Both days look great with Saturday mostly sunny, Sunday mostly sunny, and highs staying in the lower 80s. That is our forecast for fun, and that takes into the final weekend of the month of September.
Now, your First Alert forecast with meteorologist A.J. Rickman.
Well, like Joe mentioned, a lot going on as we go into this upcoming weekend, and right now our weather's quiet. It's going to stay quiet as we go through the weekend. Temperatures right now are a little bit warm out there, not terrible by any means. We're in the upper 70s across the board, 76 in Prairie du Chien and there in Dubuque. Those are your cool spots. And then those dew points are pretty dry as well. We're in the upper 40s and low to mid 50s. It's going to let us cool off again pretty nicely as we go through the night tonight. And like we've been talking about, very quiet weather for the next 24 hours. Green across the board on your First Alert forecast. So if you do have any outdoor plans for the rest of the week or into the weekend, you should be in pretty good shape. Overnight tonight, our lows drop into the low to mid 50s. We do have those mostly clear skies. Winds are out of the east. And then tomorrow, we're going to see those winds kick up just a little bit. We'll be feeling the effects of those outer winds from the remnants of Hurricane Helene, so we'll keep those northeasterly breezes at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Those partly cloudy skies as highs are again warm in the mid to upper 70s. Some spots do hit the 80s, Waterloo, Tama, Charles City being a few of those. Now, as I mentioned, a little bit of cloud cover does move in as we go through the night tonight, and that'll be as what will at that point be a very quickly weakening Hurricane Helene works its way into our area. By 7 a.m. Friday, our southern and eastern areas are starting to see a little bit of cloud cover work its way in. That upper level cloud cover kind of filters its way across eastern Iowa as we get into the midday Friday. And generally, the farther south and east you are, the more cloud cover you're going to see. Our farthest southern and eastern areas could stay partly to mostly cloudy through the day. Areas farther to the north and west will see a little more sunshine. As we go into Friday night, we do start to see that cloud cover break up just a little bit, and then into the start of your day on Saturday, we'll start to see a return of some more sunshine across all of eastern Iowa, but we will keep that northerly breeze as we head into your weekend. So your weekend outlook does look nice, breezy on Saturday, and then Sunday, very similar to Saturday, just a few mix of sun and clouds, and then those temperatures are in the upper 70s to low to mid 80s. Now, it's been dry and it's going to stay dry, which isn't necessarily great for us. Latest drought monitor data is out, and you can see that we've got all of eastern Iowa that's drier than normal. A couple spots do still have that moderate drought hanging on in some of our northern counties. And with us staying dry, we're going to continue to be monitoring the progress of these abnormally dry conditions. We do build a little bit of humidity as we get into the end of our week, into the weekend. By Monday next week, we're seeing dew points in the 60s, but then they drop pretty quickly as we get into Tuesday. That's going to be because we have our next cold front that arrives. Doesn't get here until after the weekend, so the weekend is warm, it's calm, and we do keep that pretty quiet weather going all through your 9-day forecast. But the big change that comes is right as we get into the start of October. We do have those high temperatures on Monday in the lower 80s, dropping to right at 70 for the start of the 10th month of the calendar year. And it's going to be nice. It'll feel about like it should at this time of year, and then that'll be a good start to a dry start to October.
Yeah, even that drop isn't anything crazy for this time of year, like you said. So looks like a pretty solid set of days, despite the lack of rain. For a little bit more on that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you go ahead.
All right, Justin Roberts has our Growers Guide for the week.
Well, every Thursday we take a look at our Growers Guide here on First Alert Weather Now, and the big story for farmers and gardeners of all sorts is the lack of rain, and we've had some very dry conditions. Let's take a look at September by the numbers. We did this last week, and again, here's where we should be normally. Upper 70s for highs, upper 60s for lows, and precipitation almost 3.5 inches. Here's how we've done so far on this last full week of September. We've actually added almost 6 degrees of the average high this month, and rainfall, yeah, we are 2 inches and plus below normal. In fact, looking at the Big Four around the TV9 viewing area, right now we've only recorded a trace amount of rain in Cedar Rapids, so far giving us a deficit of almost 3 inches of rain, over a 3-inch deficit in Dubuque, and over 2.5-inch deficit in Iowa City. Now, the drought monitor, latest data shows that we're seeing that drought condition once again become more widespread across north and east Iowa. And new data released earlier today shows more of an expansion out there. No rain expected across eastern Iowa, which means in Cedar Rapids, we'll be beating a record of 0.3 inches of rain that was recorded back in 1899. That's your Growers Guide for this Thursday. As always, you can find more details on this disappointing precipitation calendar and much more at kcrg.com. Guys?
And that is disappointing. If you were hoping for more rain, as we just mentioned, it's going to be hard to come by, and probably more disappointment on the way. Now, one thing that we will feel over the next couple of days, and AJ has mentioned this, is a little bit of rain. We're going to be feeling that on Friday into the weekend. That includes temperatures that will stay warm during that time. A little bit of cloud cover coming along with the leftovers of Hurricane Helene. Those gusts on Friday into Saturday, maybe as high as about 20 to 25 miles per hour. So obviously nothing like down on the Gulf Coast. We may actually see winds pick up a bit again on Tuesday. That's as we see some cooler air move in. But notice that things stay pretty dry as we go through the weekend. Just temperatures that will be a little bit above normal through that Monday time period. Tuesday is when they start to drop a little bit, and that's the start of October. Your outlook for the month of October from the Climate Prediction Center. Well, it's a bit of a toss-up. Warmer conditions favored off toward the Rocky Mountain states, warmer than normal conditions favored off in New England as well. But here in the central U.S., for the first time in a while, it feels like we are not immediately able to point to a pretty clear trend toward warmer than normal temperatures overall. Something to watch as we head into October. That may not be what plays out. Those longer term forecasts can be a little tricky, and they have done pretty well so far this year though, but most of them have predicted that warmer than normal condition. Overall, those low to mid 70s next week look pretty nice. Excellent weather to get out and do whatever as we look over the next 9 days.
And I am really holding out hope that that forecast for a toss-up turns a little cooler. I'm ready for some cooler weather. It's getting to be fall. It's time for it.
Okay, and you're the one that's from the south, so I'm a little surprised to hear you say it.
Yeah, I mean, it's had a full summer of it. It's been warm all of September. It's felt like home for me all of this month, warm and dry. So hopefully we get some cooler air as we get into the month of October.
No, that's fair enough. Wait and see, folks. And thanks for joining us to see what we had tonight. We'll be back tomorrow for your Friday edition. Have a great night.